We're back for another episode of Property Now. I'm your host, Michael Carboni. My friends call me Carbs, and I got a new friend here today. I'm really excited about this episode. I think it's a very different episode for us, and I think a lot of listeners, the viewers may know the face. If their algorithm is about property in Sydney, they will definitely know the face. If they're listening, they might need to hear the catchphrase to know who it is. I want to ask you to go for it.
This is what $2 million buys you in Sydney. Let's check it out.
You must. Jason Ballo, welcome, mate.
What's up, Michael? Thanks for having me. By the way, that's a really cool nickname to be named Carbs.
Carbs. Well, it's Carboni, it's carbs. I love pizza, I love pasta. It all makes sense.
That's cool.
And I guess that's where I kind of we're going to talk about a whole heap of stuff today, Jace.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to unpack your origin story,
yeah,
your insights that you understand. Like you're all over Sydney, so you have some good insights.
Yeah.
But I want to unpack your signature because that's what people know. And I start off by saying, hey, my name's Michael Carboni. My friends call me Carbs.
Yeah.
I start every episode with that. And what I find is I see people in the industry.
What's up, Carbs?
Hey, Carbs, how you going? I know they're listening, right? But it just becomes this unique thing that's repetitive. And PJ gets annoyed with it. Producer Page is like, do you have to do that every time? Yes, I do, Page. It's part of the brand.
He does, Page, you know?
It's super important. But so how did you're obviously, we'll get into the whole backstory, but I want to know that bit. This is what 2 million buys you in Sydney. Let's check it out. How did you come up with that?
So I tell you, right, I've been doing content a long time.
Yeah.
And I had a mate that sent me a video that I did like 10 years ago for his new build in like Ashbury. It was me doing the same shtick, but it just wasn't the phrase or whatever. It was just a video. I can't even begin to describe. Like it was more just like me doing what I do, talking the way I talk. I guess the real thing behind it is I just decided to become myself again. I was a hidden kind of guy when I was a real estate agent. And I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do my thing again and just talk the way I talk and be the way I am. And that's just kind of how it came about. Like the Already Legends, let's check it out. Like that's just how I talk.
I noticed, because I went back and watched in preparation for this, I went back and watched your early videos. And to your credit, I think your early video, you've kept like the original stuff. I
have.
And so the original videos, you'll probably, I won't say shy, because you're obviously not a shy guy. But you're probably a little bit more timid in front of the camera.
No. I'll tell you what it was. So I started the video. So my wife was videoing. She was 8 months pregnant doing those first few videos, right? Until she decided she had to give birth and I had to sack her, right? And find a new alternative. I love telling that joke. So she would come out with me and I wouldn't speak I wouldn't do no live audio, because I was at an open home and there were agents around and there were people around. I didn't want to talk about price. I didn't want to impact whatever was going on there. So I would go, this is what, and for me, price was animate because I was always an agent that was like, man, you need to talk about price. You need to give a guide. In Sydney, this is the whole thing, right? But in Sydney, you need to give a guide, because it's a competitive market. So there's not unless you're a developer, right? You're a developer. You got, this is a $5 million, 4-bedroom townhouse, whatever, brand new. This is a good price, and you got the funds to hold it. It's $4 million. But in Sydney, if you've only got 3-4 houses for 30 buyers, that are of high quality, high grade that people want to compete for, so agents need to give a guide. And so for me, it was just always about this is what $3 million buys you. It's more like an indication, right? It's not a set price. In some cases, it is a sold price. In some cases, it's that. So I had the idea to go, this is what $2 million buys you in Sydney, not knowing that this is what $2 million buys you in Sydney was going to mean anything.
Yeah.
But it was just, I wanted to be direct.
So you accidentally came up with that? Because it's actually, was there any other ideas?
No, so I'll tell you what happened. So the first video I posted got 350,000 views. It's me saying this is what $2 million buys you in Sydney. I think this is what $1.7 million buys you in Sydney, right? So I thought, okay, I've got to do it for the next one. So I just kept doing the same thing because it worked. Wow, okay. And so I just kept that. And then it was a couple months in, me and my wife, the first video I posted, 1st of February 2024. Yeah. My twins were born 7th of February 2024. So that obviously that week changed my entire life, right? 3 months, anyone that's got kids understands that first 3 months, the feeding the every 3 hours. So you're not in your right mind. Finally, me and my wife, who's, my best friend, we hang out together, all this type of thing. We like to have a drink together. Finally, we get some, this moment where it's like, it's our first night, bottle of wine, ordered some dinner, just hanging out as friends again, And we're just chatting. I said, well, what do you think I can do with the videos what can I do to improve? Because I'm always about improvement, always, every part of my career, my physique, my diet, my sleeping, I'm always about improvement. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anti-carbs here. Actually, I am actually anti-carbs. I'm on carnivore diet at the moment.
Beautiful. No, it works. Whatever works, man. I'm sticking to my pizza, but whatever works for you.
Mate, I'm jealous. So then she goes, you sure you're talking about these like $3 million houses and $4 million houses? You need to have a bit more pizzazz. Like this is what $2 million was. So literally the next day, I'm out shooting a penthouse in Elizabeth Street, and I was like, this is what $18 million buys you in Sydney. Let's check it out. And I kind of just was doing this for a little while, and it kind of meant nothing. And then I sort of brought it up here because I like that, and it just sort of formed from there. Now, and it's even changed. Like if you look at my videos 2 or 3 months ago, same hook, same type, like everything. My energy now has improved significantly. Like people that are booking videos with me, they're like, wow, it's louder than it was last time.
Yeah. You keep going up. But there's always a little incremental change, and I love it. And I love that you mentioned this. That's a big part of your brand. And we actually were looking back, Paige and I yesterday, going through your videos, going, when did he start doing this? And it was September 9, 2024.
There you go. I didn't even know.
So, but we're like, did he buy a new watch that day and he just wanted to like show the camera? Or
I've been wearing the same watch. Yeah. Obviously same ring.
Yeah.
Same. Every video this watch. And
I love it.
Yeah.
So that's something that you're known for, right? But it just was a little flick, and then it became more prominent. Yeah. And now people ask you for photos on the street doing this.
Yeah.
We'll get into the origin story, but is that like, I guess in Sydney in particular, you hit the streets, people were like, hey, Jace, how you going? People taking photos, asking for autographs.
Yeah, everywhere.
How's that been? Because this is a recent phenomenon for you, obviously, right? Like, how's it been? What's it like?
It was, can I tell you, like from early days, it was starting to happen. So I started getting recognition within a couple of months.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the guy that's been doing those videos.
Yeah.
There was a guy I was getting a coffee, and he was just like sitting in his car, and he just like beeped. And I was like, and I just looked over, and he was like waving, and I was like,
is he waving at me? Yeah.
There's no one here. It's like 7 a.m. It's like 6:30 in the a.m. in the morning. No one's here. It's like, he's like, yeah, because you're that guy. Yeah. So like it was happening sort of gradually like that.
Yeah.
And then people start giving you the squint eye. You start getting this guy looks familiar. And now people just come up to me, and, I was telling you, dropped my car at the car wash. Drop my car rolls up next to me, gets out. Oh, Jason Ballo, no, can we get a photo? The guy walking past sees us, and he's like, oh, Jason, can I get a photo? I walk inside to go to Kmart. This 7-year-old girl runs up to me. She runs up to me like she wants to give me a cuddle.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then she kind of stops, and I'm like, can I have a hug? She's like, yeah. And her dad was there. Like, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Well, people have probably viewed you so much that they know you, or they feel like they know you, right?
Totally.
That's brand, and that we'll get to that business-wise as well. But let's start from the start, right?
Yeah.
So where did your love for property begin?
7 years old, 6 years old, mate. 7 years old, 8 years old. So my dad was heavily invested in real estate. I mean, forever, always in a day. I mean, he recently just did a deal himself. He's always been active, always loved real estate, and I look up to my dad. My dad's my hero, right? So he was always excited. Like, Jace, we were talking about where we came from, similar area, right? Yeah. So around there, where was it? Bonnerick Heights, maybe Abbotsbury, one of those spots. My dad bought 3 blocks of land.
Yep.
So we drove out, and it's like, it's just all lands, and you've got roads, right? And then you got those sticks in the ground to mark up the lands with the flags or whatever, right? So my dad, we roll up, and I'm just like at this hill, whatever, looking at this piece of grass. I'm like, what's this? My dad's like, I bought all these. See these 3? These are ours. And I said, okay. He goes, but and then he sold, and then he told me he sold one and it paid off like the next two, within sort of pretty much before settlement. He had on-sold one and it paid for two. Like the West was kind of cracking at that point. I think he paid 70 grand a pop back then. And then he sold one for like 150 or whatever. It was 200 grand. So, and then he had duplexes that he was building, townhouses that he was building, and he was always excited when he talked about real estate. So I just was like, yeah, fuck, I love real estate too. It was just one of those things. And then when they got into the business in 2000, they bought management rights off Harry Triggerboff. I was like, yeah, I want to be involved in this. So I got my certificate of registration when I was 16. I started working for my mum when I started doing lawns and things for her. My first job, I guess technically my first job, I was always working as a kid, mowing lawns and cars and, doing all of that. I said to my mum, Mum, for $5 a day, if you pay me, I'll work for you. She goes, okay. I was like, cool, I got a job. And then I realized after a week I was getting fucking shortchanged. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was a good lesson.
There was no child labor laws or anything.
No, but you know what? Like, my mum's good like that.
But it's family.
She's a teacher.
It's family.
It's like, it's not about the money. You got to learn, you got to work, you got to experience. My parents always been like, you don't need money.
But there's no better work experience. And like, you're probably living at home. Like, it's fine,
Yeah, like you don't, it's not like at 13 you need fucking 100 grand. You know what I'm saying? So then I started doing that, and then I decided, you know what, this is beneath me.
Yeah.
I need to go get a real job. I'm 14 years old. It's time to, grow up. So I go work for I go to Kmart.
Yeah.
I work again. My first job came up Broadway, my first official job, I should say. And I loved it. And it was awesome. Ali was our manager. I haven't seen him ever since. Hedemi, who is a school friend of mine, she was like, Jace, let's go get a job at Kmart. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I loved it. And then it got to a point where I was like, Kmart is not my future. So I need to take my career seriously. Almost turning 16, I need to do something. So I said to my mum, I want to come work in the office with you. So from that point, I was 15 odd, started working every Saturday. She was taking me showing apartments. She showed me how to show an apartment. So she would start and she would know exactly where she was starting and know exactly where she finished. Her energy was always on point. She was always dressed impeccably. She greeted everyone with a huge smile, knew everybody, like just had that, connection, and everybody just loved her. And I was in love with the way my mum did things. I was like, wow, she's a fucking superstar. You know what I'm saying? And then she would take people, because it was an apartment building, she would take people at the end. All right, 15-minute inspection will take you to the amenities, and anyone that's serious wants to have a look at them. And then she would always take the same path. Like she would always go this barbecue, the sauna, the gym. Then she'd go up this set of stairs. There was another set of stairs here. Go up the spa, walk across the pool, show everybody the views of the like Blue Mountain or, what it was looking out to. The other barbecue area where you see the Harbour Bridge in the city, come downstairs. By then, you'd have 8 people wanting to put an application for the same apartment. And so that's how I fell in love with the business itself.
I love that. You're very lucky in that you've been able to take the best from your mum and your dad.
100%. I'm extremely lucky.
Because the way you've described that, you're both of them. There's them in you.
100%.
Right? And that's I'm imagining when you're talking about your dad with the 3 blocks. I imagine Simba and Mufasa, and it's like everything the light touches.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
It's so cool.
That's exactly how it was. My dad's one of those guys where like when he talks, there's a group of 10 guys around the table like this. Everybody listens to my dad. He's just one of those guys.
Yeah, I love that. Holds court well.
Yeah.
You casually mentioned Harry Triggerboff, the biggest developer in Australian history. You just threw it in there.
Yeah. Well, Harry's been a big part of our lives because we've been so connected with his buildings in the early days. All these foremen, all these guys are all part of our lives. Me growing up, these guys were in my life, like in terms of the career and work. So,
did you meet him?
Have you met him? My parents have met him. My parents have met him. I haven't met him personally, no. I would love to meet him one day, hopefully.
Touched so many lives, though, I guess, like through the amount of people that have sort of worked for him and with him.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, but that's pretty cool. Take us to then, so then you're a real estate agent.
Yes.
How long did you do that for?
So I had a couple of businesses. So I actually moved to Dubai 2007 to 2009. started up a facility management and a real estate business there. The idea was to offer a property management service and look after buildings the same way we did in Sydney. GFC happened. I was 21, naive, didn't really know what the hell I was doing, sinking money. So came back and thought, no, I got to regroup. Started an online furniture business called Ballo Furniture. This was in 2011.
That's actually got a nice ring to it, Ballo Furniture.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Ballo, I don't know if anyone's told you this. Ballo in Italian, ballo, means dance. Yeah, okay, you do know. It's just got a nice little, nice.
Yeah, I'm a great dancer.
Obviously, your name, it's the name, it's in the name. It's like carbs for me, but anyway.
So I had that business. That business went to shit as well. I decided that I was going to get, the only way to get out of that business, I owed a lot of money to creditors. My dad said, look, negotiate, try and, minimize, do deals with these guys, see what you can get out. So I did. And he says, look, there's a house coming up. They're obviously still operating their business. There's a house coming up. We can get you to sell it. You can take the comm, get back started again. And so brought me back into real estate. And then not long after, I opened up my own business with a business partner. My business partner left after 6 weeks. It was like this whole, I just made a lot of bad decisions in that sense. But I loved real estate and I wanted to keep progressing and doing well. So I got out of that business. I sold the rent roll that we had. I basically worked for nothing for 3 years, which is massive lessons in itself. I got out of the lease, unscathed, which was good. I had some issues with the franchisor, but that's fine. All part of the process, right? And so I was like, okay, I need to understand what I'm not doing well. And what I'm not doing well is X, Y, Z. So I thought, how can I get good at X, Y, Z? Got to go back to start.
Can we unpack X, Y, Z? Yeah. What's X, Y, Z? What was it?
How to be a good real estate agent. So prospecting, listing, selling, right? So that's the crux of it. So you got to know how to prospect. You got to know how to work buyers. You got to know how to, obviously list and sell properties, manage and work the process, ensure to get your client the best result. And so there is no shortcut to what works well in real estate. It's really the simple things. And you've got to do the simple things time and time again until it becomes muscle memory to get good at it. And so you just got to go on that journey, right? And you got to figure out what works well and what doesn't work well for you as a sort of sales associate or as an agent. You're on the come up. Some things work well for some agents, some don't work for others. Not every agent wants to go to the school fair and donate to the school and do all that sort of stuff. Some other agents don't want to, it just depends on what your thing is. Some agents don't want to door knock. Some agents like to be on the phone. So it just depends on what your thing is. And then you got to create scale on that. So, I had coaches, real estate coaches. I trained really hard. The thing with me in real estate is, so I did it to answer your question, I know it's a long-winded answer. Up until 2 years ago, I was 36, I think 35, 36, when I decided to start my life as a buyer's agent. So pretty much all that time from 20 to that age.
I love that. And you triggered, I actually love that. A lot of people look back at the mistakes and they can't get past them. But you've sort of gone, they were mistakes, yeah, whatever. Looking forward always. What have I learned? How do I move in a forward trajectory? 2 years ago, you went from selling agent to buyer's agent. Yeah. You told me your twins are 20 months old. I'm assuming there was something about that which forced your decision or helped you make that, gave you some clarity there.
You're 100% correct. So I found out I was having twins.
Yeah, crazy.
So when you find out you're having twins, what happens is you're with the obstetrician and your wife, and she's like, she's like doing the ultrasounds here, and I'm like, looks like there's is it like a mirror image in there? What the fuck is going on? And then you're like, and then she's like, go to my wife, you go and come back and then we'll do the other sort of test. Everybody that's gone through it knows what I'm talking about. So, she comes back and then when my wife leaves, I'm like, that's funny. It looks like there was 2 of them in there. And she turns around to me and she goes, there is. but don't tell your wife. I want to surprise her. I want to check the heartbeats and make sure everything's okay, and we'll surprise her. And I just went,
Yeah.
and my entire soul left my body.
It's scary, right? It would be scary, I assume. Anyway.
Everything, like my whole soul. And I was just like, and then my wife comes back in, and no word of a lie, she's like, Jace, are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. She's like, did you see some blood or something? I was like, no. And then maybe she tells my wife's crying and laughing at the same time. So I'm like, fuck. Do I want to be doing what I'm doing?
Yep.
Do I want to, you start, Russell Crowe, Beautiful Mind, you start thinking, I need an SUV. I need, my career was like at a thing. I was not doing great financially. I've told this story before. I had something else going on at the time, but I was like really having to make a decision. And I've made this move a lot and it hasn't worked out for me. So I was like, you know what? I know from working with the best real estate coach, Ivan Bresic, and working buyers, I was really confident in my abilities. I always service buyers really, really well. And I found that I could really make an impact here. I could run my own hours. I don't have to do open homes. I don't have to work necessarily full day Saturdays. I don't have to work late night Wednesday or Thursday nights doing open homes. I didn't want to live that life anymore. That was the main part of me. And I thought I could make a good career, doing a deal, a couple of deals a month, and it's good living, like that's kind of just how I thought about it. So my wife was 6 months pregnant when I decided to tell her. So she cries, scared. She's about to go on maternity leave. Quickly, the tears dried up. She's like, actually, I'm really excited for you. You're going to do great. It's going to be great. It's all good. Blah, blah, blah. I want to help you. She gets excited. She's like, I'm going to help you build a website. You should do videos on social media. And I was like, I literally want to do none of that. I just want to focus on my craft. I want to make sure my service is great. I want to start figure out my process, how I'm going to deliver to my clients, how I'm going to communicate to my clients, the frequency, how much I'm going to deliver. She was like, you should do videos, you should do videos, you should do videos. So I'm like, okay.
How'd she convince you? Because it's obviously been for the
best. She said like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, fuck, okay, I should listen. No, it was more like she was part of the journey. So I did it like, she's, when you're married and stuff, like, and she's my best friend. So like we are on a journey together. It's not just an individual race.
Yep.
So, she needs to be a part of that as well. So she's going to have her say. So even though I might not think it's right or wrong or whatever, she's part of it. So I'm going to listen and I'm going to, take on board what she says. And so I said to her, look, I see enough property a week. Why don't I just video them, talk about price up front, and then I'll post about them. She goes, I don't care what you do, just do something. I was like, okay, fuck. So she goes, okay, let's go out to open homes. I said, let's go out to open homes. You can film me. She was really excited. So it was really that, it was just like more of a journey together.
Was it awkward at first? You're at an open home, there's people around and you're being filmed.
No, she was great. She was great. She's not awkward at all. She was like, she's like me. Like, she's just like, we're just going in. It's not like we were trying to be not seen or whatever. And I was just literally walking around pointing to things that I knew that I wanted to talk about in a voiceover because I knew how to use CapCut. One of my best mates, who's a massive guy in the UAE. He showed me how to use CapCut before and do snippets and things like that. So I knew I could do voiceovers. And so that's what I did.
So it's just you and her. She's recording, you're there, you're the talent.
And we went to multiple.
Yeah,
so that day we did 4 or 5 until, she got hungry, she wanted lunch, she got tired. We did it again. We did it again a couple of times like that. And then it got to a point where we couldn't go anymore. And then I started doing the edits on some of them, and I had banked up a few at this point. So I've done a few.
So you hadn't released any yet?
No, then I released the first one 1st of February, and that one got 350,000 views.
So you got 350,000 views, and you go, babe, you all right? Like, this is what I've got to be doing, right?
No, actually, no. I started like getting like, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm like Brad Pitt now. You know what I mean? And so we're in the hospital, and a nurse comes in, and this is still, so that was 1st of February. Now, like on the 3rd or the 4th, we're still trying to figure out about the baby situation. My son's umbilical cord was compromised. So we're trying to figure things out. And the nurse comes in and she's like, they're running tests and stuff and all of that. And she's like, you look familiar. And I looked at my wife.
Well, from one video?
Yeah, like one video. I think I might have posted the second one 2 or 3 days after that. She's like, you look familiar. And I'm like, look, I'm getting famous, like I was G'ing her up, but it was like, I didn't know what it was becoming. No, but she's been awesome. She's been supportive. I was telling her a lot about the first interactions, and she knows she likes to humble me. So she just rolls her eyes and like, yeah, right. Yeah, no, nobody knows who you are, blah, blah, blah. And then we were out as a family for the first time around the Olympics. We lived in the city. We're going to go watch a sport and have a beer and have something to eat and bring the babies with us, whatever, for, an hour. And guys were coming up to me, oh, Jason, you're that Instagram guy. And she looked over and she's like, wow, you weren't lying. It was like one of those moments.
That's so good.
But she's so happy.
She must have been so proud.
She's very proud.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And when you started the videos, so I would imagine that the reason you'd start that, obviously it's JBX buyers agents, right? You're starting your business. You want to get some recognition. You want, to earn some trust. The intention for those videos in the early days, was it to get inquiries?
No.
Okay, what was the intention?
No, I didn't. No. So there was nothing, not one bit of doing these videos did I ever think it was going to create what it's created. Yeah. It was not the intent. I did not set out to be a real estate influencer.
Yeah.
It was really to build. For me, as an agent, I was always about doing the work, showing the work, show, don't tell. So it was about building a catalog so I can sit with my clients and go, all right, Carbs, did you see this one? Did you see the renovation, this one in Bondi? Did you like this house on Smith Street? Did you like this one at Taylor Street? What about this one? This is how, just to kind of talk about a catalog of stuff, have some products to show and go, did you like that house? Would you like, if we found something like this, it's just something like so that people can see.
They can visualize it.
They can visualize it rather than me sending them 100 links of properties like most other buyers agents do. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you get 10 links of properties you're having to click. And I was like, I'll do a video.
What was your point of difference? And I guess you, like you said, you found your strengths, right? So you probably showed hundreds, thousands of homes. Why not do that at scale? On social media, you can do it. 1 million people can watch it. Yeah. Instead of just one or a couple at a time.
Well, that's the thing. There's a reason why it hasn't really, and no one else has really been able to break through and do it, because it's a bit difficult. It is a difficult space to crack. People are sensitive talking about their homes. People are, they don't like to comment. So there's a whole thing. So it does make sense on paper for a lot of people, but there's still some part of the market that don't necessarily want to be out there like that. Certainly they want the eyeballs, but they don't want everything that comes with it. And unfortunately you can't have both.
But I assume that, and let me know if you're comfortable talking about this, but
I'm comfortable talking about anything.
So part of your revenue is now agents asking you to walk through a home and record it, right?
Yeah, so I was actually I was on the drive over here. My client called me, the one that I just bought a $14 million apartment block for in the inner west. He goes, Jace, so he had no idea. He's like, so you getting paid for these videos? I said, yeah. Because I was telling him, I go, man, I'm not really taking on any more clients. I've got a couple, but not, I'm sort of at capacity. I'm really busy. He's like, he goes, do you get paid for videos? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, that makes sense. He goes, how many are you doing? I'm like 25, 30 a week now. He's like, are you fucking joking? I was like, yeah, if you asked me, and they came on board 3 months ago. I said, man, if you called me today saying you had a $20 million budget, I'd probably tell you no. Because it's I'm trying to, I've got some acquisitions coming in terms of headcount. So that'll start to ease up there. But I'm at that sort of point now where it's the content's important because it's what puts me there first.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I need to focus in on that. And also I have a young family. So, if it was up to me, I'd work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. But I have a wife and 2 kids. So they need my time as well,
100%. So you've got buyer's agency side, but these videos are really... You are the business. So
I charge for so the videos are paid. Yeah, they do. I get, because they're selling properties now.
Yeah.
So I get calls all the time from people that bought properties. Jace, I bought this house. Can you come do my house? Because I wouldn't have bought my house if we didn't see your video. And record sales too, man. There was a house that sold in Padstow Heights, Henry Kendall Street. If you look it up, sold for 2.8.
Yeah.
The agent, Laura, told me about this story. She's like, Jace, there was like, 15 buyers that came through from your video, pre-market. She goes, the buyer saw the property come up on domain.com, but discounted, basically said no to it because they didn't want to be in Padstow Heights. They were looking in surrounding suburbs. No, I'm not living in fucking Padstow Heights. Video pops up. The son-in-law sees it, shares it. He goes, you need to have a look at this house. It's fucking perfect. They see it. They fall in love with the house from my video.
Oh, but they don't know where it is.
No, they know they're like, where is this place? Oh, it's that Padstow Heights place. This is the house though. Can we get down with Padstow Heights? Yeah, I think we can get down with Padstow Heights. They go to the auction. They're the winning bidder. Set a record sale for a property in that spot for $2.8 million. And that's one of dozens of stories I have now. I have, dozens of stories like that, man. It's crazy.
Well, people are looking for new ways to cut through, even from I'm a marketing nerd, obviously.
Yeah.
But, there's only so many portals and listings and things like that. People are almost not immune to it, but the intent isn't quite there. Like I look at REA every day, but it doesn't mean I'm buying right now.
And that's, it's a good point because I want to flex on REA for a minute right here, right? So as an agent, we would send the weekly snapshots of REA and domain to our clients in our vendor reports every Monday, right? So we'd send out these vendor reports. This is how many views you're getting on real estate. This is how many. I did that for years. So I know the numbers that you're getting in a good campaign on real estate and domain.
Yeah.
On a very, 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 very fucking good campaign, styled, a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention. You might get, 12, 15, 16,000 views. On average, you're getting about 10K for the whole campaign. One video, I showed you 6 videos that I posted yesterday. The lowest performing video was 30K. And it's all Sydney buyers. Everybody that looks at my thing, obviously there are some people like yourself that peruse, but there are buyers there,
100%. And you're right, it is Sydney. I think you showed me your audience, like 96% Sydney.
I sent you the stats. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And but there's an intrigue. It's interesting. It's entertainment. You're entertaining.
Yeah.
And people are intrigued that, oh yeah, what does 2 million buy me in Sydney? What does 4 million buy me in Sydney?
Yeah.
And the crazy part about Sydney is it's all over the shop.
Yeah.
So you went through a property recently, which I think it was in like Gregory Hills or out southwest, something like that.
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 million or 3 million or something.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, but you'll remember it was like a tile factory outlet. Like it was just tiles and concrete and it was a massive house.
Yeah.
And it's like 2.5 in Gregory Hills.
Yes.
The same house in Concord would be like 7 million.
Correct.
And the same house in Mossman would be like 15 million.
Correct.
And it just blows people's mind. I think just to understand like how crazy Sydney can be.
100%.
And it just depends on where you are.
Yeah. So the first few videos that really got me popular were the ones that I would do in the Inner West because I was an Inner West agent.
Yep.
So showing stuff around Glebe, around anything that was like run down and was like $2 million, $3 million, fucking people would lose their fucking minds for that stuff. They'd be like, there's no way. And I was all about the views then.
Yeah.
And it's, it's people would just, stuff that I used to see all the time and you think nothing of it. You think, actually, that's pretty good value for that. You know what I mean? Like, because you can see what it would take. You're talking like maybe 200 grand to clean this up and it's worth X. You kind of know that as a real estate professional, but as an everyday punter, you're like, who the fuck is going to pay for that? Are you joking? And so those comments do come to the forefront. And so, it is entertaining to see. It's entertaining from my point of view as well to see what people say about these things.
And so where are you seeing, from an insights perspective, where's the interest? Like if you put up a place in Guildford versus a place in Bondi, like there's obviously going to be a lot of difference.
Dude,
like where is the interest?
Everywhere, man. Like, so the first sale that kind of on record for us was 55 Ocean Street in Bondi. This was around June last year. And I said, this is what $5 million buys you. And we'll go back to we'll talk about this in a second. I'm sure you're probably going to have questions and everyone has questions about this. So I said, this is what $5 million buys you. This guy was not in the market, not REA, no domain, didn't have a pre-approval, got some money to him, wakes up in the middle of the night to take a piss. Sorry to be so crass. Went to the toilet, sorry. I feel like I'm just talking to my boy
That's
here.
the
You know what
idea.
I'm
That's
saying?
the whole point of
I
this
keep
podcast.
forgetting.
Yeah. We're at a barbecue
Sorry,
talking property.
I'm sorry.
Man.
So then, and then my wife's gonna love that one. So then he looks at it. So he can't go back to sleep. So he looks at his phone and he's like, shares it with his wife. Eventually goes back to sleep. Wake up. She goes, honey, what's this? I saw this house. Couldn't sleep really. Just saw this house. Looks pretty good. Do you want to go see it? Yeah, actually, they do. They went, saw it. They were like, okay, yeah, we like the house. To the agent, she's like, there's 4 other buyers. It's at 5.7 now. They ends up paying 6 for the house. Didn't say on real estate, didn't say on domain. Eastern Suburbs, Bondi, right? Paid $6 million for a house that I said this is what $5 million buys you in Sydney. Out west, Panania, there was a house that sold that was on the market for 7 months. And my girl, Adine, shout out to her, Ray White, Reevesby. So she calls me and she's like, I love what you're doing. We want to do this video. It's a big deal for me, client. They do a lot of, whatever. And I said, okay. I said, she goes, we need to knock it out of the park. I said, okay, I'm here. Let's go. Freestanding house. Said, this is what 2.2 buys you in Sydney. I released that. She goes, I'm going to put it on the market. If we don't get anybody, I'm going to put it on the market on Monday or Tuesday, she said. I released the video on Saturday. Buyer sees it. Buyer messages a beer. They organized that night. Goes to see it on the Sunday. On the Monday, they exchanged for 2.525 before they put it on realestateanddomain.com.
And that's considered like off market, right? Even though
That's off
kinda,
market.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's off market.
And I would assume that the price that you're throwing out there, this is what 2 million gets you. It's all. Do they always sell for more than the price you say, or is it around?
It's a good conversation to have, because I think a lot of people think in Sydney. I don't think people quite understand or never really come to terms with how Sydney works. The Sydney real estate market, maybe because I've been looking at it for the last 30 years of my life, literally last 30 years of my life, had RP data at like 14 years old. I begged my mum for RP data at 14 years old. So, the thing is with Sydney, unless it's brand new stock and you've got, a for sale price, and a guy like Harry Triggerboff would say the price for this 2-bedroom unit is $1 million or no deal. And if you offer 980, he'll say no. I know this from experience. He'll say, no, I'll just wait till I get $1 million for it. I don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? He'll wait. On the flip, houses need to transact, right? But at the same time, in Sydney, demand always exceeds supply, always. So when you get a top tier home, a blue chip home, and I'm not talking about like Vaucluse double bay. I'm talking about blue chip in a great street in any suburb in the city, right? You're going to have competition for that house. That house is going to have competition because every person that's got that money to spend in that area wants to buy that same house. So it's competitive. There's competition. Meaning, if you want to pay 2 million, but someone else wants to pay 2.1, you can't cry about it because someone else wants to pay more money for it and you don't see value. If someone else wants to pay more money for it, that's just how it goes. And that's why people get so highly strung about this thing. But there's not one price fix all. My this is what $2 million buys you can be a guide, a for sale price, or a sold price in some instances. Depending on why agents call me to promote their listing or promote a sale or whatever have you. It all varies.
Do people what do you think that there's a gap between what buyers think it should be worth versus what the market is?
I tell you the game, right? And it's hard on agents cop it hard here. The market sees it as you're underquoting, right? And there is a limit of underquoting, right? So generally you want to be within that 10% range. So if you think it's worth, say, 3 million, you can probably put a guide of 2.7. 2.8 would be reasonable, right? You'll get, not as many buyers if you guide 2.5. So it all comes down to the numbers. So if you guide, so let's say there's a $3 million house, agent A Guide's 2.5. He has 40 buyers come through his first open home. He collects that data. He has people to call. He has all that sort of stuff, right? More people see him. If you guide 2.75 or 2.8, you're going to have maybe 15 buyers come through. The same buyers will come through that door. It's really not going to impact. It's going to finish at the same mark. More often than not, it's going to finish at the same mark. But it's where the agents decide, how many people will they want to meet that Saturday versus, and how many calls they want to make and all of that. That's really what it comes down to. Sometimes you get a house, it's a unicorn and it just shoots off the mark, but you need to then adjust the guide accordingly. You need to lift your guide and go, okay, well, we've had 50 fucking groups through this house. There's a lot of interest, a lot of people saying now this $3 million house probably looking like a $3.3 million house. So let's lift the guide to 3,150 and just sort of see where it lands us. You don't want to overshoot the mark because if you overcook it, nobody comes. Yeah. Then you don't get an outcome. And, vendors dictate. At the end of the day, vendors are the ones that give instructions to the agents. The agents can give them their recommendations, but it's the vendors that make the decisions. So really, it's the vendor's move to make. The vendor can choose to do whatever they choose to do, and they choose to make the moves of the recommendations good agents make because it works.
I have seen a recent instance where, like you say, with the vendor, they wanted for a property near where I live. So I've heard a story from the agent anyway. So this is the agent's perspective. The vendor says, I want X amount of dollars. The agent says, look, it's probably a bit of a high expectation, to be fair. Now, that property's been on the market for like 3 or 4 months. And it's like lots of interest, but no one is getting to that vendor expectation, even though the agent has said, look, you maybe need to bring it down a bit. But this is a vendor that's been there. They probably purchased it for peanuts in the 90s.
Yeah.
They don't need to sell. It goes back to what you were saying. They don't actually need to sell. So they can go, hey, I might just keep it for a bit longer and then I'll sell it I'll go back in a year and see if it's hit my expectations.
Well, it comes down to motivation of the vendor too, right? So you got to understand what the motivation is because if the vendor's not motivated, you're going to be pushing shit uphill sometimes. It's like, what for? Why burn that energy when that guy's, just looking for a number rather than for, home to transact, at a fair market rate or a slight premium even at that, to a good family or, someone that's going to come in and sort of love the home after you. That's not important to a lot of people. Some people are just about the money. So it does come down to that, but also it's agent's job to give bad news to clients and say, it ain't worth that. It's worth this based on market feedback. This is probably where you're at. Would you sell for this today? No, I won't. Okay, cool. Well, then let's talk about how we, can finish this off and move on. But a lot of agents don't want to have those conversations.
Yeah, interesting. I'm conscious of time. I know you got another appointment. You're booking.
Keep going. It's fine. That's fine.
Let's do some rapid fire, right? Let's get through some questions. Like, I want to know sort of what frustrates you about the industry at the moment.
That there are order takers and they're not deal makers.
Explain that a little bit.
So they're just providing orders. They're just like shifting orders around and not making deals. Like there's not a lot of guys that are like last night I got a contact, right? So I'm looking for a house for a client and he goes, and I said, man, so what's up with this? And he goes, forget the guide. He goes, this is where we can buy it at. Like trying to make a deal, rather than playing a game. There's a lot of agents that I've been calling around. And I'm like, man, like, who the fuck do you, who are you talking to? Like, I've been an agent for 15 years. Like, what you're speaking to me, the way you're talking to me, you're having conversations with me like an everyday buyer. Like, I learnt that same dialogue with you in training, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you trying to put that shit on me? Like, just be straight up, try and make deals. Don't be an order taker, shifting messages across, try and figure out how you can make deals, I
always say it comes down to, in good times, when the market's hot, anyone can be a good agent, right?
Yeah.
But when it's a bit tricky, you sort of learn who's good and who's not.
Totally.
And it's probably comes down to that a little bit. So I've asked you where the market is interesting, but what is your favorite suburb or area in Sydney right now?
I love the West at the moment, man, in terms of growth. Western Corridor is hot. I bought a few properties for clients in Glenmore Park. I love that suburb. I really, really love that suburb. 500 odd square meter blocks. You can buy 1, 2, 4-bedroom homes, nice and tidy, 2 bar, 2 cars. Great spots, amenities. They've got everything going on there. There's other spots on the other side. Like I was surprised, Moorebank is performing really well at the moment. Chipping Norton is like grows, got some growth coming. Like those 2 corridors for me, there's a lot of growth to happen. There was a suburb that I went to do a shoot in Menangle, a new suburb, new estate. And man, that like for 1.4, you buy a 500 square meter house, beautiful brand new house on a single story. Like amenities is just going to make those spots boom. Yeah, 100%. Those are if you want to invest your money and, you got to be in that sort of 1.5 range, that's probably where I'd put it. 100%. I'd be putting my money there all day.
So you're talking corridors west towards the mountains and southwest towards Wollongong.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It reminds me of where we grew up. So we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that you grew up. We'll say it, Bosley Park, Adenza Park. And I remember, like when my parents bought a house, they're in Horsley Park now, they're on acreage, but when they bought their house in Adenza Park, it was literally the third house on the street.
Yeah.
It was all blocks. It was all like paddocks that were being subdivided.
I remember.
And now that's like suburbs, communities.
Yeah.
You got Marconi and you got like Stockies
Yeah.
and you got all this stuff,
100%.
right? And I've seen that shift towards the southwest in particular.
Well, look at Wetherill Park's trading, 500 square meter blocks, trading for 1.4s. Like, it's crazy. 1.5s?
Yeah.
Wetherill Park.
And that was far away. Oh my, you want to move? You want to move that far?
Not far away at all, man.
It's not far anymore,
Nah.
right? You've got all this connection now, M7, M4, et cetera. And so you can almost, I don't want to give advice, but you can almost predict. I feel like I've seen this story before, you know what I mean?
You have
can
seen
almost
that
predict
story,
it.
but people overthink it and they try to get too cute and too smart and overthink and think they can outperform the market or outsmart the market, which you can't. You just got to buy, if you buy a house that's popular, you just got to think of it like this. If you buy a house that's popular, it's going to be popular when you go to sell it. If you buy a house that's unpopular and you do nothing else, it's going to be unpopular when you sell it. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, exactly. What's the best property that you've recorded? I know it's a tough one, but
I can't even, there was a house in Leichhardt I did the video twice. Was it Macaulay Street in Leichhardt? It was Macaulay Street in Leichhardt. That was a really hot house. Nice finishes. I saw some finishes I hadn't seen before. I was really blown away by that. That was really nice. There's been a couple of crackers. I did the Harrington Street penthouse. I did the Crown. I did what else do I do, man? I've done. It's hard to. Oh, there was actually a sick house in Mossman. It was like a $10-12 million house that was like abandoned. I can't remember the name of the street. There's a full story. There's like a history to this house. And I just went and explored and,
so it was like derelict. No one.
Yeah, it was
living
like,
there.
it was like a haunted, it was almost like a haunted house in a movie. It was taped off. Like you couldn't gain access into some parts of the property. And I filmed a lot as much as I could going under spots I probably shouldn't have. That was cool, and then the view, but you go out and you see the view down to the water. You can walk down. There's a path that takes you down to the beach. It was.
I saw one.
I like that.
I saw one like that agent in the south, like Sutherland area, I think, Lombardi. I don't know. Anyway, shout out to him. But he did a video. It was like this derelict house.
Yeah.
That had to be like, it was a knockdown on a great block. But he actually walked through the house and did a tour as if like, but it was like junk everywhere and like a TV TV on the floor in the bathroom and like stuff like. But it was really cool. These sort of fun walkthrough trends, like we're seeing a lot of them. I don't know if anyone's quite replicated you or able to replicate you. But are there any trends that you're seeing out there that are just like, stop doing this, I hate this?
I've never been one for trends. Like there's the one where people go overseas with their family and they're like, oh, come over here. And then they jump over the phone and then they re-edit it so that they're in the new country. Following trends is just a cringe thing for me personally. I don't hate on anybody that does it. Like, it's cool. Like, they want to do it. It's cool. But I've never been about doing something else someone else is doing. I don't know. Like, there's not a whole lot out there. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Yeah, I don't know. There was, I mean, there are those funny ones, like with the couples doing things and, you know, guy lifting his girlfriend over his head and then he farts in her face, you know. You see stuff like that, you're like, why would you do that? Like, that's pretty cringe. It's very funny, don't get me wrong, but
good. It's entertaining, right?
But there's so many people doing it. I'm like, isn't the joke over? You know, like you see it once, you laugh, and then you see it a second time, like, fuck.
It does happen to be like that. Well, what a final question then. Someone that's trying to get into the content game for their business, right? They're starting from day one. They're like, Jace, what do I do? What's your piece of advice for me?
You've got to, so this is the only advice that I have to everybody. The only piece of advice I have to everybody, know your craft inside and out. That's what it comes down to. It's got nothing to do with, oh, how did you come up with this hook? How do I come up with a hook that's similar? How do I do this? I just know my craft. I know my space and I know what people want to hear. And I just delivered it. I got a bit lucky. I've done it a couple of times before. It didn't quite work out well. You know, I must have just hit a nerve. We're talking about price and the way I deliver the intro and and then I show the property. People find it entertaining, but I've always been that guy. It's nothing. I wasn't trying to do something. Like, as you see my videos, that's who I've always been. Anyone that's ever seen a property with me or I've ever taken through would be, you would say to you, yes, this is exactly how Jason shows property. He tells you all the benefits and features and product, and he knows his product inside and out. That was just always me. So know your shit inside and out, and, figure out the message that you want to deliver to the audience and what they want to hear. Because ultimately, you can't just put out content for things that you want to do and think it's cool, because other people might not see that as that. The audience are going to resonate with it, and it's going to either work or it's not. And if it doesn't work and you get 300 views, you need to do something else because you're not really getting the traction.
I'm hearing like be yourself. And because I can say, meeting you here today, talking now, and talking to you before we started even recording,
you're
the same guy that's on those videos.
Yeah. And
so if you meet, and that's important, because if you meet someone on the street, they say, hey, Jason, and you're not that guy.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this guy's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not real. It's not, it's not good.
It's also hard to scale content if you're not authentic. So if you're not, so I was 3-4 videos in and I was like, fuck this, man. Like, I can't, I was trying to divert back into the real estate. Like, oh, this is quite pleasant and this is a beautiful entranceway. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, alrighty, legends, this house is located in this sick, sexy house is a blah, blah, blah. It's got this, and peep this out and check this and have a look at, like, it's just how I talk. And then that allowed me to do as much volume as I did. If I was faking it and not being myself, I'd be like, fuck, I have to think of what word to say here. I don't think about nothing.
Yeah.
It all just flows. I write it, so it's like it's done in order. I write all my copy. You know what I mean? So, but I know my stuff and I know my products and I can pick stone out. I know I know finishes. I know timbers. There's so many things that are very rare for me to go in and go, what's that? And if I see something I haven't recognized, I'll ask and I'll write it down. And, we have a whole system now with my assistant to get our, to get our sheets with all the information, with all the specs. But, just know your craft inside and out. That's the best advice I can give you.
Best. How can people find you, man, if they want from a buyer's agent perspective or from a content perspective, or just to check out your content? Where can they find you?
Jason Ballo on Instagram, one word. Say hello if you DM me, if you need any advice or questions in real estate, whatever, and you've watched this. Feel free to reach out. I'll hit you back. I'm really good like that.
I love it. This has been an awesome chat. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
It's been the best, man.
Hopefully not the last.
We'll be back. Part 2 coming soon.
This is Jason He, the sexiest voice in property, here to tell you that the Property Now podcast offers opinions on Australian property news for informational and entertainment purposes only, and general in nature. It does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. It does not constitute professional advice. Always seek expert guidance before making any property-related decisions.